I bet you didn't know about Tsutomu Miyazaki. This video suggestion came from Obituary X. They sent me a donation and then told me what they would like for me to do a TikTok on. I'll explain how you can do the same at the end of this video. Tsutomu Miyazaki was one of the most horrific serial killers Japan has ever seen. It's not how many lives he took, it's the nature of his crimes. Miyazaki always felt different from other people, especially his family. He was born with a rare hand deformity, which caused him to be antisocial. The only member of his family that he was ever close to was his grandfather. So much so that when his grandfather passed, he consumed his ashes. August of 1988, Miyazaki abducted 4-year-old Mari Kono. He took her to a secluded wooded area and sat in the car with her for 30 minutes. He then murdered the young girl, stripped her of her clothing, assaulted her corpse, left her body in the woods, and took her clothes home with him. He checked on the body over the next few weeks. When she was decomposed enough, he removed her hands and feet and brought them home and put them in his closet. He then called Mari's family and breathed heavily into the phone, saying nothing. While searching for their daughter, Mari's family got a horrific package in the mail. It was Mari's cremains, with a photo of her clothing that she was wearing the day she was missing, several small teeth, and a note saying, "Mari cremated. Bones investigate prove." He also abducted 4-year-old Erika Namba, 7-year-old Masami Yoshizawa, and 5-year-old Ayako Nomoto. After murdering her, he drank Nomoto's blood and also sent Erika's family chilling messages. He kept several of the corpses to perform necrophilia on. When he attempted to kidnap his final victim, her father caught him in the act, and he was arrested. After a long 7-year trial, he was deemed mentally sane and was executed by being hanged. There is far more to the story than I can fit in the time given by TikTok, so I will be making a full YouTube video about this case. You can follow my YouTube. My account name on there is the same as it is here, Jamie13Horror. Have a specific subject or video you'd like for me to cover on my TikTok? Here's how. You can send a donation to my Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App. You can use the tip option on my TikTok page if it's available. Just make sure to include your username in the notes. I'll follow you back and then send you a message. Then you can tell me what you would like for me to do a TikTok on. I bet you didn't know why cornflakes were invented. They were invented by Dr. John Harvey Kellogg. Now, Kellogg had a very bizarre obsession. It came from his deep religious views, where he thought the worst thing that a person could do would be performing any sort of sexual acts, especially masturbation. So his church had this strict diet where you could only eat the blandest of bland food because it would keep you from getting sexual desires. So he invented cornflakes, the blandest cereal in the entire world. He said if you ate cornflakes, you would not have sexual desires, which is exactly why he made it. He also was a huge advocate for circumcision, but not in the way you'd think. He said that it should be performed without anesthesia on teenage boys, just to cause genital mutilation, so the pain will be associated with their genitals, causing them not to want to touch it. He had a lot of really crazy views on this. He claims that he practiced celibacy through all 4 decades of his marriage. He also was really big into enemas as treatment, like up to 15 pints of water at one time, and even yogurt. He also had this weird practice and tried to tell everyone that they needed to chew every single bite of food 40 times before swallowing. I guess Jeremy didn't like my last TikTok because he had something else to say. You just have a problem with me talking about history. Things that are factual, things that have 100% happened. I can't change the fact that the people that did this were white. It's part of history, man. If you were to actually view my content, you would see that I cover stories of people from all ethnicities, from all over the world. I have zero political bias. I'm just sitting here telling the facts as they are. So please, while you still have a chance, just take the L on this one, Jeremy. It's okay to make mistakes sometimes, and it is more than okay to learn from those mistakes. But it's probably a good thing that you unfollowed me, because I'm going to keep talking about history, no matter how uncomfortable it makes you. I guess this one, Jeremy. It's okay to make mistakes sometimes, and it is more than okay to learn from those mistakes. But it's probably a good thing that you unfollowed me, because I'm going to keep talking about history, no matter how uncomfortable it makes you. It's okay to make mistakes sometimes, and it is more than okay to learn from those mistakes. But it's probably a good thing that you unfollowed me, because I'm going to keep talking about history, no matter how uncomfortable it makes you. I bet you didn't know that a game of Call of Duty caused this innocent man to lose his life. This man right here is named Andrew Finch. He became the victim of an internet argument that he wasn't even part of. It all started with Call of Duty World War II. 19-year-old Casey Viner got into an argument about Call of Duty World War II with Shane Gaskill. Casey contacted Tyler Barris because he knew that he would know how to get Shane swatted. But when Shane learned that he was being targeted, he provided Tyler with a false address and dared him to swat him. So that's exactly what Tyler did. Tyler called Wichita, Kansas City Hall and got in contact with a 911 dispatcher. He claimed his name was Brian and he had accidentally shot his father. And he was then pointing a weapon at his mother and holding other family members hostage. He also said that he had already poured gasoline all over the house, then said his location was the address that Shane had given him. Except the SWAT team isn't who responded. It was the Wichita Police Department. When police arrived is when Andrew Finch was walking out his front door. They told him to put his hands up. He started to, but in confusion, he started to put them back down. He had no idea what was going on because he was completely unrelated to the event that had occurred. That's when a 7-year veteran on the police department shot him in the chest. They said that he was taking his hands down to his waistband and they assumed he was grabbing for a weapon. He passed 17 minutes after being shot, all over a video game argument that he had absolutely nothing to do with. This apparently wasn't the first time that Tyler had done this. He had called bomb threats on schools and businesses and swatted people before. This is just the first time he got caught. He was sentenced to 20 years for all of his charges. I bet you didn't know about the most radioactive man in history. His name was Hisashi Uchi. He was kept alive for 83 days against his will. September 30th, 1999. Hisashi, along with 2 other co-workers, were preparing fuel for a reactor. They had not been taught proper protocol and were pouring the radioactive liquids by hand. They were under the impression that they were safe the entire time. Hisashi was leaning directly over the bucket when there was suddenly a bright flash of blue light, and the gamma radiation alarm started going off. Hisashi ran to the decontamination chamber, where he immediately vomited and passed out. When he came to, he was in immense pain. He is the only person alive to survive that much direct radiation. The radiation was so severe that it literally destroyed his DNA. His sister donated her stem cells to try and help treat him, but they had nothing to bind to. He had virtually no white blood cells. His immune system was completely gone. He was kept in a special isolated room to prevent infection. They did skin graft after skin graft after skin graft on him. At one point, he started crying blood from his eyes. After being treated for a week, he said, "I can't take it anymore. I'm not a guinea pig." They never had the opportunity to study a human that had been exposed to that much radiation before, so everything was completely experimental. Doctors continued to treat him, and all they were doing was prolonging his slow, agonizing death. Despite being put in medically induced comas and being given very large amounts of painkillers, every moment he was awake, he was screaming in absolute agony. On November 27th, his heart failed for 70 minutes. They kept reviving him and bringing him back, and he would crash and have another heart attack. But his family said it wasn't his time to go and to keep resuscitating him. Every single time he was resuscitated, it caused massive damage to his brain and kidneys. It wasn't until December 21st that he went into total organ failure and succumbed to the radiation. Now this picture is far too graphic for TikTok, but if your curiosity gets the best of you, you can head over to my Instagram to view the uncensored photo there. My Instagram is Jamie13Horror, just like it is here on TikTok. I bet you didn't know about the man who was mauled by 2 lions at a zoo in Chile.